Attention! This is not material for passive consumption. It is designed to be heard with maximum concentration. The following revelations are direct, potentially disturbing, and may challenge your perceptions. Due to the sensitive nature of the content, its availability may be limited. Your experience on this topic is valuable. Leave it in the comments.
What if the person you trust most is plotting your downfall right now? Someone you see every day, your friend, your partner, your colleague, even a family member, could be hiding a deadly personality, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash their wrath. Carl Jung, the master of the human psyche, saw these types lurking in the shadows of the mind, their motives dark, their actions dangerous. That uneasy feeling in your gut, that moment when their smile doesn't reach their eyes, when their words feel like a trap. It's not just paranoia. It's a signal, a warning to flee before their darkness consumes you. In this video, we're diving deep into the 7 deadly personalities Carl Jung warned you to escape, or face their wrath. These aren't just quirks, they're red flags, signs of manipulation, betrayal, and danger. Stay with us because by the end you'll know how to detect these threats, protect yourself, and walk away before their wrath strikes. Have you ever felt like someone's watching you, waiting for you to slip? Have you ever trusted someone only to feel their betrayal like a knife? Let's unmask the truth together. The first deadly personality is the vengeful. These are the grudge holders, the ones who cling to every slight, real or imagined, like a lifeline. Carl Jung saw this as a shadow archetype, a mind consumed by resentment, unable to let go. Their wrath isn't loud or explosive. It's quiet, simmering, a slow burn that builds until it erupts. You might know someone like this, a friend who never forgets an argument, a coworker who seethes over a missed promotion, a family member who holds on to every harsh word you said years ago. Their manipulation is subtle, their revenge calculated, designed to hurt you where it stings most. Picture a family reunion, laughter and chatter filling the air. Your cousin Laura is there smiling, but her eyes are cold, her jaw tight. Last Thanksgiving, you made an offhand comment about her cooking, thinking nothing of it. But Laura hasn't forgotten. Months later, you hear she's been spreading rumors about your marriage, subtle jabs that chip away at your reputation among relatives. You confront her, your voice shaking, and she denies it, her tone calm but her gaze sharp. "I don't know what you're talking about," she says, but the glint in her eyes tells you she's lying. That's the vengeful at work. They don't forgive, they plan. Their wrath poisons everything around them, and you're their target. Or consider Mike, a colleague you work with closely. You got a promotion he wanted, and though he congratulated you, his smile was forced, his handshake stiff. Weeks later, you notice things going wrong. Key emails you never received, meetings you weren't invited to, and suddenly your boss is questioning your performance. Behind the scenes, Mike's been dropping hints, planting doubts about your reliability. When you confront him, he shrugs, saying, "I was just trying to help." That's the vengeful's manipulation, their wrath disguised as concern. Jung warned that these types are deadly because their grudges fester, turning small slights into reasons for revenge. Then there's Sarah, who had a friend named Emily. They were close, sharing everything, until Sarah missed Emily's birthday party due to a family emergency. Emily acted fine, but months later, Sarah found out Emily had been bad-mouthing her to their mutual friends, saying Sarah was selfish, unreliable. When Sarah asked why, Emily smiled and said, "I just felt hurt." That's the vengeful's wrath, punishing you for a mistake they'll never let go. To detect the vengeful, watch for signs of lingering resentment. Do they bring up old grievances no matter how small? Do they keep score, reminding you of what you owe them? Their words might be polite, but their actions betray their intent. To protect yourself, avoid confrontation. It only fuels their fire. Don't try to reason with their grudges. It's like arguing with a storm. Document any threats or suspicious behavior. Save texts, emails, or screenshots, and note dates and times. If they send you a message that feels off, like a veiled jab, keep it. If they make a comment in person, write it down later. Keep your distance, and don't give them ammunition. Share less about your life and don't apologize for things you didn't do. If you sense their resentment hanging over you like a dark cloud, that's a sign to flee. Have you ever felt someone's bitterness lingering, waiting to strike? That's the vengeful, and you need to protect yourself now. The second personality is the schemer. These are the planners, the ones who plot their retaliation with cold, calculated precision. Jung described this as a shadow strategist, a mind that thrives on control and manipulation. They don't act on impulse. They lay traps, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. You might know a schemer, a colleague who undermines you subtly, a friend who orchestrates conflicts behind the scenes, a partner who twists situations to their advantage. Their wrath is invisible until it's too late, a carefully laid plan that leaves you reeling. Imagine working on a big project with a coworker named Tom. He's friendly, always offering advice, asking about your progress. But things start going wrong. Files disappear, deadlines are missed, and somehow, the blame always falls on you. You dig deeper and find out Tom's been sending emails to your boss, hinting that you're overwhelmed, unreliable. When you confront him, he acts shocked, his voice soft, saying, "I'd never do that, I'm just worried about you." But the damage is done, your reputation is tarnished, and Tom's in line for the promotion. That's the schemer's game, manipulation disguised as innocence. Jung warned that these types are deadly because their wrath is calculated, striking when you're most vulnerable. Or consider Rachel, who had a friend named Kate. Kate was always there, listening to Rachel's dreams of starting a business. She'd ask detailed questions about funding, plans, contacts. Rachel thought she was supportive, but weeks later Kate pitched a nearly identical idea to Rachel's investors, claiming it as her own. When Rachel confronted her, Kate played dumb, saying, "I was inspired by you. I didn't think you'd mind." That's the schemer's wrath, stealing your dreams with a smile. Their manipulation is a chess game and you're the pawn. Then there's James, who dated a woman named Lisa. Lisa seemed perfect, always asking about his goals, his fears. But when James got a new job, Lisa started planting doubts, saying things like, "Are you sure you're ready for that kind of pressure?" Slowly, she'd sabotage his confidence, suggesting he lean on her instead. When he realized she was trying to control his career, she acted hurt, saying, "I just want what's best for you." That's the schemer's manipulation, twisting your trust into a trap. To detect a schemer, look for patterns of calculated behavior. Do they ask too many questions about your plans, only to use that information against you? Do they create chaos and then step back, acting uninvolved? Are they always one step ahead, as if they knew your next move? To protect yourself, keep your plans private. Don't share sensitive details like your next career move or personal goals. Document interactions. Save emails, record conversations if legal in your area, or keep a journal of what they say. If they push for information, deflect with vague answers like, "I'm still figuring it out." Practice saying no without explaining yourself and watch how they react. If they get defensive or push harder, that's a red flag. If you sense a trap, step away before it snaps shut. Have you ever felt like someone was setting you up, waiting for you to fail? That's the schemer, and you need to flee before their wrath hits. The third personality is the charmer. These are the ones who disarm you with their smile, only to strike when your guard is down. Jung saw this as a seductive archetype, a mask of warmth hiding a cold core. They use charm to manipulate, pulling you in before delivering their wrath. You might know a charmer, a friend who flatters you endlessly, a partner who makes you feel special, only to betray you when it suits them. Their manipulation feels like love until it's too late. Consider Sarah, who met a guy named Ethan at a party. Ethan was magnetic, his compliments lighting up her world. He'd text her sweet messages, call just to chat, making her feel like the only person in the room. But over time, she noticed his charm came with strings. He'd borrow money, saying, "You're the only one I trust," then vanish when she asked for it back. When she pushed, he'd turn cold, accusing her of being selfish. "I thought you were different," he'd say, his voice heavy with disappointment. That's the charmer's wrath, betrayal wrapped in a smile. Jung warned that these types are deadly because their manipulation is so smooth you don't see it coming. Or think about Claire, a co-worker who's always complimenting your work. She's charming, making you feel valued, part of the team. But when a big project comes up, she asks you to share your ideas, saying, "We're in this together." You do, only to find out she's presented them as her own to the boss. When you confront her, she smiles, saying, "I thought we were collaborating." That's the charmer's manipulation, using your trust to get ahead. Or imagine a friend named Mia, who's always there with a compliment, but when you need her, she's gone. She borrows your things, promises to help, but never follows through. When you call her out, she laughs it off, saying, "You're too serious." That's the charmer's wrath, hurting you while hiding behind a smile. To detect a charmer, watch for inconsistencies. Is their kindness tied to what they want from you? Do their actions match their words? Test their loyalty. Say no to a request and see how they react. If their charm fades, if they get cold or defensive, that's a red flag. To protect yourself, set boundaries. Don't share too much and don't fall for flattery. Keep a record of their promises, save texts or emails where they ask for favors. If their smile feels too perfect, it probably is. Have you ever been swept away by someone's charm, only to realize they were using you? That's the charmer, and it's time to flee. The fourth personality is the watcher. These are the silent observers, the ones who study you, waiting for a weakness to exploit. Jung described this as a shadow lurker, someone who gathers information to use against you. They're not loud or obvious. Their wrath is quiet, calculated, striking when you least expect it. You might know a watcher, a neighbor who seems too curious, a coworker who listens more than they speak, a friend who knows too much about your life. Imagine living next to a neighbor named Greg. He's friendly, always asking about your day, your plans, your visitors. But you notice he's always watching, standing by his window, noting who comes and goes, his eyes sharp. One day, you find out he's been spreading rumors about your personal life, using details you never shared, your late-night visitors, your arguments with your partner. You realize he's been piecing together your life like a puzzle, waiting for a chance to use it against you. When you confront him, he denies it, his voice calm, saying, "I don't know what you mean." That's the watcher's wrath, turning your own life into a weapon. Jung warned that these types are dangerous because their manipulation is invisible, their knowledge a tool for control. Or consider a colleague named Emma. She's quiet, always listening, rarely sharing her own thoughts. But when you miss a deadline, she's the first to point it out to the team using details about your workload. You never told her. When you ask how she knew, she shrugs, saying, "I just noticed." That's the watcher's manipulation, gathering information to strike when you're vulnerable. Or think about a friend named Sam who always seems to know your plans before you tell him. He asks casual questions, where you're going, who you're seeing. But later you hear he's been talking about you, using your own words against you. That's the watcher's wrath, silent but deadly. To detect a watcher, notice who's too interested in your life. Do they ask probing questions? Then use your answers in ways that feel off. Do they seem to know things they shouldn't, like your schedule or personal struggles? To protect yourself, share less. Keep your personal details private. Don't post your plans online. Don't answer overly personal questions. Document any suspicious behavior. Save messages, note interactions, or keep a journal. If they make a comment that feels too knowing, write it down with the date and time. If you feel watched, you probably are. Have you ever sensed someone's eyes on you, waiting for you to slip? That's the watcher, and you need to flee. The fifth personality is the betrayer. These are the ones who earn your trust, only to shatter it for their own gain. Jung saw this as a shadow archetype of disloyalty, a mind that thrives on breaking bonds. Their wrath comes in the form of betrayal, stealing your secrets, sabotaging your success, or turning your friends against you. You might know a betrayer, a friend who shares your confidences, a partner who cheats, a colleague who takes credit for your work. Take Anna, who had a close friend named Lisa. Lisa was always there, listening to Anna's struggles, offering support. Anna confided in her about a new job opportunity, excited but nervous about the interview. Lisa nodded, smiled, said all the right things. But when Anna got the job, Lisa changed. She started spreading lies, telling mutual friends Anna didn't deserve it, that she'd lied to get ahead. When Anna confronted her, Lisa played the victim, saying, "I was just venting, I didn't mean it." That's the betrayer's wrath, hurting you with the trust you gave them. Jung warned that these types are deadly because their manipulation cuts deep, leaving you questioning everyone. Or consider Jake, who dated a woman named Sophie. Sophie was loving, attentive, always there when Jake needed her. But when Jake shared his fears about his career, Sophie stored that information like a weapon. During an argument, she threw it back at him, saying, "No wonder you're failing. You're too weak for this job." Her words stung, not just because they hurt, but because they came from someone he trusted. That's the betrayer's manipulation, using your vulnerabilities against you. Or think about a coworker named Tom, who you collaborated with on a project. You shared your ideas, thinking you were a team, but he presented them as his own, leaving you out of the credit. When you confronted him, he said, "I thought you wanted me to take the lead." That's the betrayer's wrath, stealing your success with a smile. To detect a betrayer, watch for signs of disloyalty. Do they share your secrets or use your vulnerabilities against you? Do they turn on you when you succeed? Test their loyalty by sharing something small and seeing if it stays private. If you tell them about a plan and hear it from someone else, that's a red flag. To protect yourself, be cautious with what you share. Don't reveal personal struggles or big plans until you're sure they're trustworthy. Document any betrayals. Keep texts, emails, or notes of what they said and when. If you feel betrayed, that's a sign to flee. Have you ever trusted someone only to have them stab you in the back? That's the betrayer, and you need to protect yourself now. The sixth personality is the enforcer. These are the ones who use intimidation to control, their wrath direct and unyielding. Jung described this as a shadow archetype of dominance, a mind that demands obedience. They don't charm or scheme, they force their will on you, using fear to keep you in line. You might know an enforcer, a boss who threatens your job, a partner who uses anger to silence you, a friend who demands loyalty through intimidation. Consider Mark, who worked for a boss named Karen. Karen was intense, her presence commanding. She'd praise Mark publicly, but in private she'd corner him, her voice low and sharp, saying, "If you don't step up, you're out." When Mark made a small mistake, she didn't just correct him. She humiliated him in front of the team, her eyes cold, her words cutting. "You're letting us all down," she said, her tone final. That's the enforcer's wrath. Control through fear. Jung warned that these types are dangerous because their manipulation is raw, unapologetic, designed to break you down. Or imagine a partner named Sam. He's loving most of the time, but when you disagree, his temper flares. He doesn't yell, he stares, his voice low, saying, "You don't want to make this worse." You shrink, afraid to push back, feeling smaller with every word. That's the enforcer's manipulation, using fear to silence you. Or think about a friend named Alex who demands you take his side in every argument. If you don't, he gets angry, saying, "I thought you were my friend." His anger isn't loud, but it's heavy, making you feel obligated to agree. That's the enforcer's wrath, demanding control through intimidation. To detect an enforcer, look for signs of intimidation. Do they use threats, even subtle ones, to get their way? Do they make you feel small to keep you in line? Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells around them? To protect yourself, don't show fear. Stand your ground calmly and document their behavior. Record meetings if possible. Save emails or note incidents with dates and times. If they threaten you, write it down word for word. If their wrath feels like a weapon, it is. Have you ever felt controlled by someone's anger, like you're walking on eggshells? That's the enforcer, and you need to flee. The seventh personality is the cold. These are the ones who feel nothing, no empathy, no remorse, just a chilling void. Jung saw this as the ultimate shadow, a mind detached from human connection. Their wrath is emotionless, calculated, striking without warning. You might know a cold, a partner who dismisses your pain, a friend who betrays without blinking, a coworker who destroys without guilt. Imagine Jenna, who dated a guy named Ryan. Ryan was charming at first, but when Jenna shared her struggles, her fears about her career, her family, he'd stare blankly saying, "You'll get over it." His voice was flat, his eyes empty, like her pain was irrelevant. When she caught him lying about where he'd been, he didn't apologize, just shrugged and said, "It's not a big deal." That's the cold's wrath. No feelings, no regrets, just destruction. Jung warned that these types are the most dangerous because their manipulation lacks humanity, their actions devoid of care. Or consider a coworker named Alex. He takes credit for your work, and when you confront him, he doesn't flinch. "You're too sensitive," he says, his face expressionless. He doesn't care about the hours you put in, the stress you endured. That's the cold's manipulation, a complete lack of empathy. Or think about a friend named Mia, who borrows money and never pays it back. When you ask for it, she laughs, saying, "You're making it a bigger deal than it is." Her indifference isn't just careless, it's deadly. To detect the cold, watch for emotional detachment. Do they dismiss your pain or act unaffected by their actions? Do they hurt you without a hint of guilt? To protect yourself, distance yourself immediately. Don't try to reason with them. They don't feel what you feel. Document their behavior, save messages, note interactions, or keep a record of their actions. If they send a cold, dismissive text, save it. If they hurt you in person, write down what they said and when. If their coldness chills you, it's a sign to flee. Have you ever met someone who seemed to feel nothing, no matter what they did? That's the cold, and you need to run. Let's pull this together. These 7 deadly personalities, the vengeful, the schemer, the charmer, the watcher, the betrayer, the enforcer, the cold, are not just quirks, they're warnings, red flags that Carl Jung saw as threats to your safety, your peace, your life. They're not always strangers in dark alleys. They're the people in your life, hiding behind smiles, plans, or cold indifference. Their wrath is real. Grudges that fester, schemes that trap, charm that betrays, eyes that watch, trust that's broken, intimidation that controls, or a coldness that chills your soul. But you have the power to protect yourself. Start with awareness. Know these personalities and recognize their patterns. The vengeful holds grudges. Don't feed their resentment. The schemer plans your downfall. Keep your plans private. The charmer uses flattery. Test their loyalty. The watcher observes. Share less. The betrayer breaks trust. Be cautious with your secrets. The enforcer intimidates. Stand your ground. The cold feels nothing. Distance yourself fast. Trust your instincts. That uneasy feeling, it's telling you to flee. Document everything, texts, emails, interactions, that could prove manipulation or threats. Save screenshots, record conversations if legal, keep a journal with dates and details. Most importantly, set boundaries. Say no and mean it. Don't let their words pull you in. If something feels wrong, it is. You're not alone in this. Maybe you're thinking of someone right now, someone whose behavior doesn't add up. A friend who holds grudges, a colleague who schemes, a partner who charms then betrays, a neighbor who watches too closely. Have you seen these deadly personalities in your life? Have you felt their wrath creeping closer, their manipulation tightening its grip? Share your story in the comments. Tell us about the grudge holder who wouldn't let go, the schemer who set you up, the charmer who betrayed you. Your experience could help someone else see the red flags they've been missing. The more we talk, the more we learn to detect the danger, to protect ourselves from their wrath. If you want to dive deeper into Carl Jung's psychology, the deadly personalities you can't ignore, and how to stay safe in a world full of hidden threats, hit that subscribe button. Danger. Radar is here to guide you, to help you unmask the dangers hiding in plain sight. We're not just here to scare you. We're here to empower you with the tools to detect the manipulation, Spot the red flags and flee before their wrath consumes you. Don't let them control you. Don't let them hurt you. Protect yourself now, stay sharp, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.